Cromeens. Welcome back to the Quit Getting Screwed podcast, where we talk about all the ways not to get screwed in the construction industry and run a better business. And today we have an expert in marketing to tell us how important that is, some ideas on how to do it, the cost, all of the ideas. And so help me welcome Brittany Murphy with One Thing Marketing. Hello, Brittany. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast. So tell me a little bit about One Thing Marketing, what you guys do, what your plans are.
Yes. So One Thing Marketing has been around since 2011, and we specialize in doing digital marketing for the trades. So we are focusing on construction, remodeling, HVAC, electric, plumbing, all the things that keep a house running or built. We want to specialize in it. So we really like to hone in what a homeowner's journey is going to be and help you be there when they are actively looking for their contractors to put in place to help them with this. So it's a nice little mix of everything you need digital online, and we love to consult on other things you might need to be doing just because it is competitive out there. So there's a lot of things you might need to think of when it comes to marketing.
Gotcha. So tell me, how did you end up in this field? How did you end up here? Tell me the story.
Yes. So when we first started, actually, the owner had a previous picture framing business in 2008, custom luxury picture framing. For some reason in 2008, people didn't want to buy that type of stuff. And he said, hey, I really need to market this business harder. And so he hired someone to build a website, do SEO, search engine optimization, and basically found out that he got screwed over. Surprise, surprise. He did not know what he was purchasing. Unfortunately, was a little clueless as what marketing entailed, a website, and so was completely taken advantage of. Learned how to do it himself and really just fell in love with it. So when he kind of founded the business, he found me and I found the company. I was really trying to get back into marketing. I have been in some different sales, marketing, retail management, and that's kind of what my major was in college. But it was very beautiful blessing of kind of what our both backgrounds are, because his really initial passion for, let's call it, the tedious aspects of marketing, the data, the analytics, putting all these strategies together was really what he loved. And I had a background where my father was actually a pipe fitter for 30 years.
Okay.
And so my actual grandfather was an electrician, and he put the glass things on the transformers back in the day as well for the electric company here in town. So I grew up knowing, there are good months and bad months, good seasons, bad seasons. And luckily my parents were able to hide bad seasons from me. But as an adult now, I can see there were times we really struggled. And so it's really a beautiful blessing for us to be able to help local businesses, family-owned businesses, get their marketing out there, really grow their business, because I understand who you're employing, and my father was one of them. So, as much as we want to say we were very wildly successful, my dad was always employed and doing all the stuff, there were times he wasn't. So it's kind of a joy as we can help these guys be as busy as possible.
So, especially as a construction company owner, either new or existing, they hear the word marketing. What does that actually mean? And where, yeah. So break it down. What does marketing mean from a small construction company point of view?
Yes. And I'll very much so separate it, because some people think marketing's branding, and that is like our logo, our colors, and that branding is an aspect of marketing. It's going to be how people designate who you are and separate you from the competition. However, marketing is getting in front of those people in the first place. So without good marketing, to me, it takes a backseat. If you can't get anyone actively searching for your business, if you can't get found by customers to do more jobs, then your logo, your color scheme, what your website looks like really kind of doesn't matter at the basis of it. So we talk about marketing as visibility. Everything you are actively doing to make sure you are in front of the homeowner, the buyer, when you need to be, is really kind of the aspects of that. And that can be traditional marketing, radio, TV, billboards. It can be digital marketing, your website, SEO, Google Ads, LSA. There's a lot of segments that kind of go into this. And as well, marketing is keeping in touch with those people that are your potential clients or even past clients. So that's where I really push my guys to make sure you're capturing all of their contact information, whether they bought from you or not, because you need to keep putting yourself in front of them, because at one point you will be the right choice for them, unless you don't want that client. Then you can take them out of your marketing. But most times than none, we do want those guys. So what are you actually doing to market yourself back in front of them?
And so what does a plan look like from somebody that, like, they started the business, they have, referral business, but they're really looking to grow? Where do they start, or where do you start them, and what does that look like?
Yeah. So what we found in, you know, I'm sure most people listening are homeowners themselves. So when I talk about this, do this visualization with me, but you got to remember you don't do what you normally do. So if you are a home builder or a remodeler, just forget you are that for a hot second. Pretend you are an IT computer guy and you know nothing about swinging a hammer. Okay, let's just go there because that's what most homeowners are. They're not as savvy as us. They're not as hands on. And I was just talking to you, Carolyn, before we started. I just got married, and actually, I married into the construction industry. So he's a project manager for a general contractor here locally. So, it's just a kind of, again, I'm living and I'm going to always be in this world as far as the trades, and I love it. Um, when it comes back to this, we have to put ourselves in those homeowner shoes. So if I don't know what to do when my roof is leaking, my plumbing's not working, or if I hate my kitchen for the love of me, and it has to go. This is completely outdated. I hate everything about it, and all of my bathrooms. Like I need entire gut and redo of all of this. What would they do first? And 9 out of 10 times, what we see is there's something always in our hand. And can you guess what that one thing is?
Yeah, their phone. They're going to Google it.
Yes, the internet is at their fingertips. So they usually Google and kind of start their journey there. So what we like to see these guys focusing on after you're kind of looking to get out of just a referral business is to put yourself out there on the internet to be found. And there are many segments of what you can do to get yourself out there. However, the foundation of what you should always start with is you need a website. Your website is what I call your 24-hour salesperson. They work 7 days a week, 25 hours a day. I mean, they are overtime kill for you. And the best part is they are the least paid employee of your company that probably does some of the biggest heavy lifting for you. And that's how it needs to be. So does your website show your projects? What does it show about you? So even if you are getting referrals, you still want that website, because I love word of mouth. I love a friend giving me a recommendation. However, my last name, Murphy, will soon be changing. However, I'm used to bad shit happening. That is Murphy's Law. So I'm always looking for those 1-star reviews. I'm looking for the worst that this could get. And I'm also doing my background research on this. And so if you're able to provide me enough answers to where I can build enough trust in what you do and your company, then that is a perfect match where I got referred to you and I see what I need to see to go ahead and make that call to get in touch with you. So as bare bones as that is, I would say, honestly, the first step you need to have.
A website from there. And so like somebody who's getting into this and think they can't afford it, what does the money on this look like? Because I know that's a huge block that people are like, I can't even afford that, so I'm not even going to look at it.
Absolutely. And this is kind of the fun part of doing what I do. So I'm our main strategist. So what I get to do is anyone who, hey, likes what I have to say, they can schedule, they talk to me, and I'll look at what they have, see where they're at, and kind of see what the goals is and the budget is to match this. If you are really trying to grow your business and you do not have the time or an internal marketing team to do any of this, which most construction companies do not, you're going to have to hire out for that website design. I have done some research as well. I kind of call on companies and get pricing and just kind of see what their sales process looks like and see what they're giving. There's huge ranges. I would say most of your average website companies are going to charge between like $5,000 to $10,000. But that should include everything you need. So all of your contact forms, your call to actions, your galleries, your reviews will go on there, even a live chat on your website if you want to really engage with all of your potential prospects reaching out to you. Those are kind of ranges. And honestly, you'll get good quality within those ranges. However, just the sound of $5,000 can make someone want to vomit. And I absolutely get that, because maybe this is just not what we put into the budget for this year at all. There are so many friendly ways to build your own website. So really, you're putting that sweat equity into it, just like we talk about homeowners. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between this. You're paying a professional to get it done versus using your own sweat equity to kind of get this website up and built. So if you do need to go down that path, do it. I wholeheartedly back you up. I would rather you go ahead and build a website now and talk to me in 90 days when you've got 2 jobs and you're like, oh yeah, $5,000 for a website. That's nothing. We just landed 2 $50,000 jobs. Like we know we need to invest back into ourselves. That's not an issue. So that's kind of where just look at the website platform builders. And that's kind of where I'm not huge fans of them, but this is the base. If you have $0 to go off of, it is the simplest and easiest way to start is build that Wix, Squarespace, GoDaddy website. It's not long-term. And that's kind of the one thing I want everybody to know is when you're building on those platforms, you don't own it. So we need to be careful as far as longevity we're going to put into these bad boys. But if you can get the basis of the information that someone asks on the phone when they call your business, if all of that up is on the website, more than likely you're going to get more calls because they're seeing more trust factors. And also, they're going to waste a little bit less of your time because they might say, can I see some of your work? And you can say, yeah, actually, please go to abccontracting.com and our gallery and click gallery. You can see all of our whole home remodels, our entire new construction builds. You can go through the gambit of it with them, and it takes that off your plate versus saying, yeah, well, I'll text you some pictures from my phone. It just makes you look a lot more professional, be able to refer them back to that area in the first place.
Well, yeah, and the older your website is, the more established, the more credibility Google gives it. I mean, when I first started my business, I had this website and it just sat there. It didn't do anything. It just had my name on it, but it gave me, as it got older, it got more and more credibility. Okay, so they have the website. So then what about social media? What does that look like for marketing? And how do you, so you have a decent website. How do you go to that next level to social media and all that?
Yeah, and just to finish off the website talk, once you have that website, if you want to start that SEO journey, that's going to be creating a service page for each of your options that you can provide clients. So if you do home whole remodels, that needs a page. Remodels, kitchen remodels, bathroom remodels, basement remodels, new construction builds, all of those separate services you supply. And if you do sub out your trades, your HVAC, electrical, or plumbing, if you are kind of like what I call white labeling them, so you are paying them, but the client's still thinking it's your company doing it, add those bad boys to the website immediately, because that does showcase how large scale and how much you could do. Because I think the other worry we get, for a new business is we look too small, so we don't look professional enough for people want to call us. And putting all those things on there, again, helps answer questions, can help start Google search rankings, because people are typing those keywords in. They're typing in kitchen remodeler, bathroom remodeler, new home builder. They're typing in those keywords. So if you do not have those pages on your website, you're never going to rank for them. So get those up, get that website up, and claim that Google business listing are the main things to do on the Google side. Now, turning it back to the social media, I love when people ask me this, because the fun part about it is I don't have the magic answer for you, unfortunately. And the reason for that is everyone has such a different experience with it. I have talked to some construction people who want such a large region of business. Mm-hmm. They see that social media goes so well for them. And in fact, some of them, have praised that, like TikTok, one of the newest platforms is driving them so much business and leads. Now, not that I don't believe it, only because age frame is 12 to 18 on TikTok. Not that I'm saying I don't believe your metrics. However, I am such a, let's prove this. Let's track this. Let's see what the analytics are actually telling us. So when it comes down to social media, unless you are able to create such good resource and potentially viral posts, what most companies end up leaning on are your average posts. So here's some before and afters. Here's a client testimonial. And those are great things to do for social media, because what I would rather business owners think about when it comes to social media is realistic. You are not going to go viral. You are not going to get 100 phone calls from everybody across the state because they saw your TikTok dance, and they really loved what they saw, you all dancing in the new home before and after. It creates great content. It shows more of the culture to me for these businesses. So since you're most likely not going to go viral, what homeowners are using social media for is to, if they find you on the internet, if they get that referral from a friend to check you out, they are checking out your social media to make sure it's consistent with the image they are putting in their head about your business. So that's why if we do lean on those before and afters, those client testimonials, like those are great things to post, because we're kind of just doing that like background check on you, really. Like, okay, so they have, a 4.5 star rating on Google. You're on their website, you see the link to their Facebook, their Instagram, their YouTube. Maybe you click on Facebook because you're just kind of curious. I wonder what their score looks like here. I always look to post if they posted like coupons, specials. There's always the change of season specials, and your girl loves a deal and the jingle that comes along with those deals. So when it comes down to that, what we see most homeowners doing is they are using that social media as a second checkpoint for you, and they just want to see that you are engaging enough to ensure you're a legitimate business.
Gotcha.
So I sometimes advise some of my guys, if you want to post on social media, which is absolutely recommended, bare minimum, try to post once a week. And it does not have to be over the top. You spend hours on these posts. You could set up this to do on your own. I'm a DIY friendly person. Set it up. There's one day a week on your calendar where you're going to spend 2 hours. You can easily make 4 posts in 2 hours. You find some pictures you like, you find out the most recent review from someone, you put these in an image, and then you post those on Facebook. And the reason I say to do that is, again, we just want to see that you're active enough to show you are engaging and legitimate. Just like kind of Google uses that too. So that's why we always push, you need to get those Google reviews, because that's actually an engagement factor that helps you rank on Google, is because Google can see, oh, wow, this business is doing business. People are liking the business that they are seeing from this. And it just kind of helps push you. It's not the one thing that's going to push you over to be number one in the area. Again, all these kind of come as like little piecemeal together, but those things really do rack up. And that's kind of how the social media algorithms do work as well. We want to see reviews match on Facebook, and I want to see that you're at least live potentially, but to be frank, I think if anyone who listening, ask your homeowners this, because I'd love someone to call me and correct me, because I love research. I just love to know what's right, what's wrong. I, as a homeowner, do not expect my plumber, my electrician, my remodeler to be the most tech savvy social media guru out there. I just don't.
Yeah.
If I see the videos, oh, cool. But then also my mind goes to, you weren't doing that on my watch, were you? Like,
Yeah.
I
Are
mean,
they paying you for that?
yeah. Do I get some of the residual capital you might be building from this ad you're posting that has my kitchen in it? You never know what people think about it, but what it kind of comes down to, and, this is just from our internal research. So I'm telling you guys, ask your clients, obviously ask how they found you, what made them purchase from you, but maybe that would be a follow-up question. Did you happen to check our social media out at all? And see what they said, yes or no. And okay, if you did, was there something you were looking for? I mean, these are deep dive questions that if you can get down to, it's really going to help you customize what you should spend time on. One thing they tell us for social media is Twitter's more like to the coast. Inside the middle of the states, not as popular as other platforms.
Gotcha.
We would know that from testing, but you as a business owner might not know that unless you're in my brain looking at the stuff I'm looking at. So instead, do your own client research. Ask these guys what they were looking at, what sold them, because that will, again, it just helps you gear where to spend that money when it comes to marketing. Because obviously I would love people to spend money with me, but I know I'm not the only segment money should be coming in from, so let's spend money back out in the areas that could be bringing it in for you.
Which kind of brings me to my next question. So say you're a mid-sized business and you decide to invest in a marketing company, right? But you're like me and every other person, you have no idea, like, what is it supposed to look like? What are they supposed to do? So what key performance indicators are you looking for? How often should you be updated? How can you tell what they're doing is actually working? And how often should you expect them to kind of give you a report on that?
Great questions. And this is one of my favorite parts to talk about, because as a salesperson, for some weird reason, people are always upset with their current marketing company when I get to talk to them. So you really kind of see what people like and what they don't like. And when it comes to certain marketing tactics, really the thing I talk about for my contractors, the biggest KPI we want to worry about is calls. Gotcha. Physical end number of new prospects that you're getting. And I'm sure for most guys as well, they're hearing that and they're like, yeah, my guys, my marketing company is not telling me how many calls I'm getting, or they just send me a random report. That's one thing that we do tracking for. So when I talk about, we love data, we love tracking. If someone works with us, and look back at your marketing company and check back on this, every marketing segment in which you are spending money for, or even not spending money for, you can put call tracking on. So that way you can actually log into your dashboard and see how many calls came from Facebook, how many calls came from your website, from your Google My Business listing. If you did an email marketing segment where you try to get everybody back, hey, get your home ready for the holidays, you can actually see how many people clicked from any of the active marketing campaigns you're doing or not doing to see where they came from. So that's what I call foundational marketing tracking. Like, if you don't have that right now, go get it, go ask for it. No marketing agency in its right mind can't figure out how to do it.
Gotcha. So they should have it. They should know.
They should have it. Yes, it should already be there. But if not, it is your job, unfortunately, to hold them accountable. And that's kind of where, yes, like the reports you get and how often you get them is something else you kind of want to look into. So I'll give the example how we do things. When we're ongoing working with a client, you would get a monthly call tracking report. So that would show you how many calls came from your website, how many calls came from your Google business listing, how many contact forms you got. If you're running ads, how many calls came from ads. So we can see where is the money being spent and how many calls are we getting back from that. Outside of that, the other reporting you should be seeing is, for example, how much traffic is your website getting? because your call volume could be directly reflected to the fact that you're just not ranking. So no one's visiting your website. No one's clicking on your Google business listing to look at your reviews or call you or get directions. All those things are kind of adding up to it. So when it comes down to mainly trades, when we want to look for KPIs, like we want to look mainly first and foremost for call volume. After that, it's the trickle effects of what happened before a call happens. So are we getting traffic into the website? Are we getting any impressions? And impressions just means, are we showing up when someone types in a keyword related to our business? So if I'm looking for a remodeler in Louisville, Kentucky, and I type that in and you pop in somehow on the first page, that counts as one impression. So we obviously want to see that happening, because the more you're starting to show up, the more you're going to get clicked, the more they're going to go to your website, and the more they should be calling you from there. So when you look at those main 3 KPIs, you'll be able to see at what part of the journey is the homeowner really falling off. Are you not getting any impressions, meaning you don't rank? So that's where you start. Are you getting the traffic to the website, but no calls? Well, something's off with the website. And are you getting tons of calls, but you're telling me you're getting no closed business? Well, then we need to talk, man, because something about once that call gets to you is funky and off, and we need to discuss why those calls are not quality or why you're not able to close them. So in the grand scheme, I would look at those sides of it. If you're looking at social media, it works the exact same way, because ideally, the call to action you have with social media is either to call you or to go back to your website to see a little bit more information. So then therefore they can convince the homeowner to still call them. So it really is down that trickle journey to the website, which is, why we say that's really the foundation of where all of this marketing starts its journey.
Gotcha. So a good marketing company is giving you these reports, but then also making suggestions if it's working or not. And if it's not, trying to figure out what's wrong to fix it. And then, kind of go from there. So that's all. And don't be wrong, it's easy, especially as a business owner, to I hired you, you do it. Yes. And that might work some of the time, but you still have to go through the reports. You still have to make sure that it's working, and, and people get lazy.
Yeah. It's not just lazy. I'll be honest with you. It's confusion. And yes, you're a little lazy. You're not willing to look into it, but it's more so confusion. All you should be able to do is pick up the phone, call your marketing agent, say, what the heck's impressions again? I'm trying to read this and I'm just confused. And they should be like, oh, impressions are, and just go right into it with you. So that's a red flag right there. If you feel you cannot call your marketing agency and they are not going to give you these answers that quickly, then that's a red flag. Another red flag would be they don't track those things, or they're more into the impressions number and the traffic numbers. And that's really all they show you. And that's what I call that top of funnel. They have not called us yet. They are dabbling in maybe calling us, but not a potential prospect just yet. And the reason they show those numbers is because they're 10, 20, 100 times higher than call volume numbers. And so it looks a lot more impressive of, wow, we gained 1,000% ROI. You have 200,000 impressions. The business goes, oh, wow, that's awesome.
My phone's not ringing.
The phone's not ringing though. So can you explain that? That comes and we're looking at some stuff, Those are all awful answers. And the hard part is I focus on SEO. And search engine optimization is the least sexy thing out there when it comes to all the marketing. It is looking over contracts. I mean, it's looking at words, counts, numbers, data, analytics. I mean, when we write content, we're just not silly willy talking about how fun a remodel is and you would love your kitchen afterwards. There's so much keyword research that goes in these articles to make sure that they rank. So you need to be able to trust your marketing agency is going to bat for you to do these things in the back end and really tracking it. And when it comes down to looking at just SEO, because ranking in Google is usually everyone's number one craving. And that's why we specialize in it. We know that if we can get you there organically, you're going to have such a higher ROI because it's just a higher trust factor for homeowners seeing you ranking organically versus ads. But obviously ads help overnight. So we do need to supplement your long-term strategy with your short-term strategy. But that being, when it comes down to that long-term strategy, it takes forever. And I want every construction business out there listening right now, if you are talking to a marketing agency, and unless you're going to spend crazy amounts of money each month, thousands and thousands each month on this, and I'm not just talking a one-time dump of 5,000, you're doing that consecutively every single month, you really need to put a timeline on your website where it's going to be closer to 6 months to a year until you actually see the trend happening, starting to pull up higher in Google. So that's the thing I hate, but I love. It's a challenge for us, but it's also that conversation we have to have with all of our clients. This is diet and exercise, the journey and the strategy we're going on to rank you organically within Google. We're going to sprinkle some diet pills in because girl loves to get looking good for bikini season. And I'm on page with you there. However, we need to be realistic that those diet pills will not survive us the entire season. And when the next year comes, if we did not do the groundwork we needed to with diet and exercise, we're going to be in the exact same mess, if not worse, because everybody else was doing that behind our backs and they look great and we look like shit. And we don't want to feel or look like shit when it comes down to it. So that's kind of where, just when you look at expectations, have those open conversations with your marketing agency. When you're focusing on ads, so straight ad spend to Google, Facebook, Meta, all those suites, there should be some easy expectation settings for immediate results. If we're going to look at long-term things, have that conversation with them and really put those metrics into place. Because if you're brand new, the journey is even longer. Like, I'm talking a year and later, you're going to see yourself really ranking and doing good with it. But you're going to jump over backwards from how much better your business is doing because you did invest that time previously. I mean, it's just like the old saying, when was the best time to plant a tree?
Yeah, 50 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And the fun part of it, we have clients who we worked with for a decade now, and we are focused on trades, but we do have someone that's in the insurance world, and we were able to rank them for Medicaid here locally. Like, we were beating out Humana. I mean, it was crazy. And that's kind of where, yes, like, I use that as an example because that's the extreme, but that's what happens if you invested in this such a long time ago, to have that history, that past, that relevance, and that trust with Google. So therefore you can ride out even easier algorithm updates or new competition popping in the market. You just kind of had that solidified, just like making your presence and who people think you are in your brand. It's the same way you're doing that online as you're doing in person. So it's kind of how you have to think about it as well. It takes time to build that reputation and build a good one.
Gotcha. So that brings me, so tell me some of your favorite success stories.
One of my favorite ones to date actually is, we have a metal roofing contractor, and I met him 2019. I went to a past relationships family vacation, and I met him, and of course everyone's like asking like what I do, and I kind of mentioned it. Well, he's like, oh, I got a metal roofing business, like, hit me up. I was like, okay, like thinking he wouldn't take it seriously. And when we met, he was like, I'm actually actively trying to grow this as much as possible. Please tell me what I need to do and the strategy I need to do to get there. So when I researched him, he did not have a website. He just had a Google site, which is automatically created for you by Google. He kind of had a Google business listing, but it really wasn't claimed or verified. So we were starting from ground zero. I mean, no rankings, no website, nothing. But he was doing good and building his business well because he had amazing foot on the ground work. So he had salespeople going into neighborhoods, doing a lot of door knocking, and he was really getting a good effect from it. But he reached out to me because he wanted to really make the cost per client much less, because when you were paying an active salesperson to be out in the field and they only get one a week, that does add up for the cost per each client you're acquiring from that point with it. So fast forward a few months, this weird thing happened 2020.
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah. That thing. So COVID happened. And in a lot of areas, door knocking was no longer allowed. No solicitation at homes. So we were in a pivotal point for him where he lost all of his, foot on the ground people. Luckily, we got all of this up. We were starting to optimize. Luckily, he was in an area that didn't have huge competition, but there were some big players in the game. We were able to get him up there ranking, and it's 2023 now. He's still a client, and he has brought all of manufacturing in-house because he was able to build up the cash supply to bring that in from the marketing and his growth as a business. So very fun. That's kind of the fun part of our journey is, clients will set a goal for us. Hey, I want to get this many leads a month is my goal. And that's what we base our strategy off of. Mm-hmm. When we hit it at the end of the year, because we'll usually do like year to years with people, when we hit the end of the year, we say, okay, well, your goal was 50, we hit 55, like, we're really proud of that. How do you feel? And they're like, oh my God, it's amazing. So next year I want 75. And we're like, oh, okay. Like, that's fine. Like, we're ready to go then, so it's always moving the goal post down further and further, which is always the fun part for us, but it makes it more fun because if we're able to see the success from it, and he's actually brought solar on now too. Wow. I mean, it's just the fun part of when you can really find a business that wants your ability to help grow and scale them, and you get the budget to do it, you can really move the world for them as quickly as possible. And the timing of that, I think, is what makes it such a Cinderella story, because had had I not taken him seriously, had he not
Okay.
followed up with me or chose to do it, he would have been a whirl of hurt
Yeah.
because he would have had he would have started from ground there. And at that point, not everybody had the money to spend on
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if somebody wanted to find more about one thing marketing, where would they go? Where's the best place to go to check you out?
Yes, the best way I would say is if you like what I had to say and you just, not that you're lazy, but you just need someone to talk to you in plain English about what the heck's going on, then go to our website, onethingmarketing.net, and there's a strategy session button at the very top right corner, and it'll take you straight to my calendar. So you will go ahead and book a time where I will look over everything you have and give you my brainstorm and my strategy from there. However, if you want to DIY, if you want to look a little bit further into how to do these things for yourself, I have a free 99 option for you where you can still go to that same website, onethingmarketing.net, and we have a free ebook on our homepage to help tell you the 9 tips you need to go through building your digital marketing plan for your business in the trades.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brittany. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me.